This is an excellent step that is the best standard that we have to date to ensure that we are going beyond sustainability. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Actually Good Coffee podcast, the show where we talk about all things coffee related, all while I drink a cup of coffee. This past week, we're actually a couple weeks behind, so I'm going to give you the past 2 weeks. For week 2 of July in 2024, we sold 755 pounds of coffee total. For week 3, we sold 893 pounds, just 7 pounds off from that 900 mark that we would have hit for the second time this year. I think we're going to hit it again. I think we're going to hit it multiple times this year. I think we'll even hit 1,000 pounds. You guys have heard me say it. I'm going to say it again. If we're looking at the same weeks from 2023, for week 2, we sold 574 pounds, and in week 3, we sold 744. So we got our numbers up for both weeks this year. We are going to average higher. I'm saying it now. I'm calling it now. So today I want to talk about a new certification within the coffee industry. Would you believe it? It is the Regenerative Organic Certification. This certification has recently been adopted by Kavoya Coffee. Now, Kavoya is one of the largest importers of green coffee in the United States, further proving my hypothesis that this method of farming will be adopted on a national scale. It already is. It's happening as we speak. This is a concept that's still pretty deep within the coffee sector, but it will soon be something that customers are looking for on their coffee bags and in their coffee shops. If you're following along with Made in Coffee, you know that one of our core values is going beyond sustainability. This is an excellent step that is the best standard that we have to date to ensure that we are going beyond sustainability. The Regenerative Organic Alliance says, imagine a world in which farmers, brands, policymakers, educators, researchers, and individuals come together to create a healthy food system that respects land, animals, empowers people, restores communities and ecosystems through regenerative organic farming. So this is a certification that covers multiple different layers in multiple different ways. What are those sections that this organic certification covers? Well, one is soil health. We've talked about this before. When you are establishing a healthy biodiversity within the soil, you are getting a better product with more complexity. Another thing that affects this is elevation in which the coffee is grown. Depending on your altitude, that affects just how long that coffee is going to grow. It gives the coffee more time to develop, and again, adding more complexity to that crop itself. This certification aims to build soil organic matter, establishes cover crops like trees, which is something that contradicts this idea that the EU is implementing, which is this idea of deforestation within coffee. This actually slams the reverse Uno card on that mandate that is coming into play, which might not even come into play anymore because they're realizing that coffee isn't really in the same category as a lot of these other monocrops that are being imported into the European Union. I don't think it's going to come into effect on coffee, but we're going to have to just wait and see. It establishes crop rotations, no GMOs or gene editing, no soil-less systems, no synthetic inputs. It promotes biodiversity, and it encourages rotational grazing. Another section that this organic certification covers is animal welfare, as well as social fairness. So the idea behind animal welfare is essentially this grass-fed, pasture-raised idea, limited transport, no concentrated animal feeding operations, and suitable shelters for the animals. I guess coffee still fits into this category, but not as much as other ones, so we won't focus on that one so much. But the last section that it covers is this idea of social fairness, strengthening these communities that are at the base level of producing coffee. So the farmers, making sure that they're getting paid fair wages. They are creating these contracts to establish long-term commitments to these farmers, no forced labor, transparency, and essentially what it all comes down to is transparency and accountability throughout the supply chain. Regenerative Organic Alliance goes on to say, to be truly regenerative, a system must consider all players in the farm system, from the soil microbiome microbiome to the animals to the workers. After all, farmers are the stewards of our lands, and with the power of regenerative organic agriculture can completely change the direction of our future. So the goal of this certification is to essentially encapsulate all of these different certifications within the coffee industry. For the past 10 years or so, there has been multiple different certifications within the coffee industry, and it's created this confusion for consumers in which certification is the best to buy, which one do they relate with the most, which one do they feel the most passionate about. There's organic, there's Rainforest Alliance, there's women-owned coffee farms, and what this certification is essentially trying to do is encapsulate all of these different certifications you can find when buying your coffee at the grocery store. So maybe not women-owned specifically, but essentially bringing it back to the communities that do produce these farms on this level. When you plant a coffee crop, it takes 5 years for it to start bearing fruit, which is where coffee beans come from. The certification follows that idea, and it establishes 3 tiers. The first tier is bronze. If at least 10% of production meets the criteria to be regenerative organic certified and 50% by year 5, the certification level is bronze. Second is silver. It starts at 50% production, and within that 5-year mark, if it hits 75%, then you get that silver certification. And finally, gold. When 100% of production meets the criteria to be regenerative organic certified, the certification is gold. So the certification seems to really understand how these farms operate and really understands just how long it takes for these farms to start changing over to this process. And it gives them time to do so, which is really awesome to see, honestly. The Regenerative Organic Alliance goes on to say, regenerative organic agriculture is a collection of practices that focuses on regarding soil health and full farm ecosystem. Mark Inman, Kavoya director and senior trader, says the coffee industry is uniquely positioned to play a key role in this growing movement, as most coffee is grown by smallholder farms, and coffee itself relies on a rich biodiverse environment to thrive. Coffee is one of the products that can, with few changes in growing practices, be farmed regeneratively, reaching carbon neutral to carbon negative status in a very short period. Kavoya will actually be receiving its first regenerative organic certified coffee in August. We're going to be picking that up. No doubt about that. Thank you guys for listening. This was just a kind of a quick insight into really what regeneratively farmed coffee is. This is something that we will be focusing on and continuing to focus on so that we can bring the best product possible to you guys. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you again very soon.